Imagine a single family controlling 17% of the world's proven oil reserves. Not a corporation, not a government, a family. The Saud Dynasty doesn't just rule Saudi Arabia, they essentially are Saudi Arabia. And their wealth? It's so intertwined with the state that separating personal fortune from national treasury is nearly impossible. Today, we're diving deep into the most powerful royal family you've probably never heard enough about. This is the story of how desert warriors became oil titans and how black gold transformed a tribal kingdom into a geopolitical superpower. Let's rewind to 1932. While the world was struggling through the Great Depression, a tribal leader named Abdulaziz ibn Saud did something remarkable. He unified the fractious tribes of the Arabian Peninsula and founded the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The country literally bears the family name. Imagine if America was called the United States of Washington. But here's the thing. In 1932, Saudi Arabia was poor. We're talking about a harsh desert kingdom with an economy based on dates, livestock, and revenue from pilgrims visiting Mecca. The entire national budget was less than what a mid-sized company makes today. Abdulaziz had unified the kingdom through decades of warfare and strategic marriages. He would eventually father over 40 sons and countless daughters with multiple wives. This wasn't just about building a family. It was about creating alliances and cementing power across tribal lines. Then came March 3rd, 1938. American geologists working for Standard Oil of California struck oil at Dammam Well Number 7. They'd been drilling for years with little success, and this will have been their last hope before giving up. What they found changed human history. The oil didn't just flow, it gushed. And it kept gushing. Saudi Arabia wasn't sitting on some oil. It was sitting on the largest conventional oil reserves ever discovered. We're talking about 260 billion barrels of proven reserves today. But King Abdulaziz wasn't naive. He'd seen what happened to other resource-rich nations that let foreign powers control their wealth. So he negotiated carefully. In 1945, he met with President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the USS Quincy, establishing a relationship that would define Middle Eastern geopolitics for decades. American security guarantees in exchange for stable oil supplies. By 1951, Saudi Arabia was producing 500,000 barrels per day. By 1960, that number had increased fivefold. The money started flowing, and it never stopped. Let's talk about Saudi Aramco, the crown jewel of the Al Saud wealth. Originally the Arabian American Oil Company, it was gradually nationalized between 1973 and 1980. Today, it's fully owned by the Saudi government, which means effectively owned by the Al Saud family. How valuable is Aramco? In 2019, it went partially public in the largest IPO in history, and its valuation hit $2 trillion, making it the most valuable company on Earth. For perspective, that's more than Apple, Microsoft, and Google combined at that time. Aramco produces about 10 million barrels of oil per day. At current prices, that's roughly $700 million in revenue every single day. Per year, we're looking at annual revenues exceeding $400 billion. But here's where it gets interesting. The boundary between state wealth and royal family wealth is deliberately blurred. There's no clear separation. Oil revenues flow into the state treasury, and the state treasury flows to the royal family through allowances, business deals, and positions of power. The Al Saud family isn't small. Estimates suggest there are 15,000 to 20,000 members of the extended royal family. Of course, not everyone gets equal shares. Here's how it works. Senior princes, direct descendants of King Abdulaziz through male lines, receive monthly stipends that can range from tens of thousands to millions of dollars, depending on their proximity to power. We're talking about several hundred senior princes getting this treatment. But the real power and wealth? That's concentrated among a smaller circle, the sons and grandsons of Abdulaziz who hold key government positions. These princes don't just get stipends. They control ministries, have stakes in major business ventures, own vast real estate portfolios, and receive commissions on virtually every major government contract. The current King Salman and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, known as MBS, sit at the apex of this pyramid. MBS, in particular, has consolidated power in unprecedented ways since becoming crown prince in 2017, sidelining rivals and centralizing decision-making. Personal wealth? Crown Prince MBS is estimated to have a personal fortune exceeding $1 billion, though the real number could be much higher. He's purchased a $450 million Leonardo da Vinci painting, the most expensive artwork ever sold. He owns a $500 million yacht and a $300 million French chateau. But again, these numbers are complicated because the line between personal and state spending is non-existent for senior royals. Oil wealth doesn't just enrich the family. It's the glue holding the entire system together. Saudi Arabia is essentially a petrostate built on a social contract. The Al Saud family provides prosperity, services, and stability, and in return, the population accepts authoritarian rule with limited political freedoms. Citizens pay no income tax. Education and healthcare are free. The government provides subsidies for fuel, water, and electricity. There are government jobs, often cushy ones for Saudi nationals. This is called the rentier state model, where the government rents out natural resources and distributes the wealth to maintain legitimacy. It works, but it's also fragile. It requires oil prices to stay high and production to remain stable. When oil prices crashed in 2014 to 2016, Saudi Arabia ran massive budget deficits, raising questions about the model's sustainability. This is where Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's Vision 2030 comes in, an ambitious plan to diversify the Saudi economy away from oil dependency. The projects are mind-boggling. NEOM, a $500 billion futuristic city. The Red Sea Project, investment in tourism, entertainment, and technology, opening the country to foreign investment and social reforms. The goal? Reduce oil's contribution to GDP from about 50% to something more sustainable, create millions of jobs for a young population, and prepare for a world that might eventually move beyond fossil fuels. Skeptics question whether these megaprojects are realistic or just vanity projects. Can Saudi Arabia really transform from an oil economy to a diversified modern economy? History suggests it's incredibly difficult, but the Al Sauds have pulled off the improbable before. The Al Saud family's oil wealth gives them extraordinary geopolitical influence. They're the de facto leaders of the Sunni Muslim world. They can influence global oil prices with production decisions. They have vast sovereign wealth funds investing worldwide. The Public Investment Fund alone manages over $700 billion in assets. Saudi money flows into everything from tech startups to sports leagues. Notice how many global events suddenly take place in Saudi Arabia? That's not coincidence. It's strategic image building funded by oil money. The relationship with the United States remains critical, though it's evolved. Saudi Arabia is still one of America's key Middle Eastern allies, a counterweight to Iran and a crucial player in global energy markets. The Al Saud family story is ultimately the story of oil itself, how a geological accident beneath desert sands created one of the world's most powerful dynasties. They transformed from tribal warriors into global power brokers within a single century. Their wealth is nearly impossible to calculate because it's fused with the state itself, and their future depends on successfully navigating away from the very resource that made them powerful. Whether Vision 2030 succeeds or fails, one thing is certain. The Al Saud family will remain central to global energy politics, Middle Eastern affairs, and the broader question of what happens when oil eventually loses its throne. If you found this fascinating, subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most powerful families and the hidden forces shaping our world.